everyone, welcome to my channel Notes from the Sewing Room. My name's Becky. It's really nice to have you with me today. Today's video is all about what I made during the month of July. I've got a few different things to show you, including some pajamas, a couple of tops, a skirt and another skirt that was actually a bit of a sewing fail. I always think it's important to share with you the highs and the lows of my sewing journey, so I've got a few of those kind of stories to talk to you about today. So if that's something that does interest you, it would be amazing if you could stick with me, press that like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed already, it really does mean a lot to me. Right, let's get to it and I'll tell you all about what I've been up to. So let's start with what I'm wearing today, shall we? So actually I'll just slip my cardigan off so that you can see. So this is actually a hack of a top that I made recently, so you may or may not recognise it. So this is actually the Friday Pattern Company Sagebush top, but with a couple of differences. So firstly, I've made it in a jersey fabric rather than in a woven like it's supposed to be. I have slightly lowered the neckline here. I can't tell you how much by because I kind of did it by eye with my scissors when I was actually cutting out the fabric, and I didn't have lots of this fabric, but it was really wide, so I was able to kind of be a little bit creative with the way that I cut my pieces out and whatnot. You'll notice that I've also missed off the poofy sleeves that are supposed to be in the Sagebush pattern, in that top pattern. I really do like the sleeves in the pattern, but I just didn't have enough fabric, so I had to just miss those out this time. But I'm so pleased with actually the way that it's come out. I've also decided to take in the side seams quite a lot. I basically put the top on inside out and then pinned it to where I actually wanted it to be. It's not snug now, as you can see. I've still got quite a lot of wiggle room in there, but I have taken it in quite a lot down the side seams. I decided to make the size small, and I made the size small when I made the woven version, but because this is actually a viscose jersey, it's got quite a lot of movement in it, it's very stretchy, so I just thought, do you know what, I can size down a little bit more. So rather than retracing out the pattern and whatnot, I just thought make the size small and then just kind of grade down as I go. So that's what I decided to do. I also made a few other alterations to this one. So rather than doing the bias binding all the way around the front of the top into the back to do the bow, I actually just overlocked this section here around the neckline, turned it over just twice actually, and then I have used my twin needle just to stitch all the way around here. And then on the back I did actually put on the bow, but rather than doing the bias binding, I literally made 2 extra pieces of fabric and then stitched them into the back. So I'll just turn around a little bit so hopefully you can see. So that's a little bow detail there. Not sure how well you can see that, but hopefully you can see a little bit. So yeah, I will put in a little bit of video footage also of me standing up so that you can see the top in you know, more detail. I'm really pleased with the top overall and the way that it worked out. It's quite nice to use a pattern and then change it up in a different way sometimes. So I'm really pleased that I did that, and I'm actually pleased that I decided to change the direction of the stripe. Oh, sorry if you can just hear that. My door in here is just blown open with the wind. But yeah, I decided to change the way that the directional print of the stripe just along here for my ruffle. So I think that worked quite well as well. I did consider putting a ruffle around both of the sleeves here, or you know, where the sleeves should go. But in the end I thought, I'm not sure if it's going to work out okay, not sure if I'm going to like it. So I decided to miss that off. But I'm pleased with the little ruffle on the front there. And I've already worn this top a couple of times since I've made it as well, so I am quite pleased with it. So if you've done any hacks of the Sagebush top, I would love to know, because I'm up for doing some more. So just let me know in the comments below, that would be amazing. But yeah, I'm quite pleased with this one, so yeah, hope you like it. So the next project that I wanted to chat to you about today is actually something else that I'm wearing today, so I'll just stand up in a second so you can see. And this is actually something that I made at the Crafty So and So sewing camp that happened recently, and I went along to that for the weekend. So this is actually the Grace skirt by Simple Sew Patterns. I've made this skirt quite a few times, as you'll probably know if you follow me on this channel, and perhaps you've seen my Instagram feed as well. I have made this skirt a few times, but this is actually the first time that I've made a kind of peachy pink version, and I thought it kind of goes well with the flowers that are in this top. So I'll just stand up so you can see. I bought the fabric from Sew Over It. You may have seen it in one of my previous fabric haul videos. I would describe it as a medium weight denim fabric. It's got a tiny amount of stretch to it, but not lots. But this project doesn't need any stretch anyway, so that's absolutely fine. I'll just stand up so you can see. So here it is. So it is a pleated skirt, as you can see. I decided to put in a lap zip at the back, and it's got this nice fitted waistband, which I really like. Pleats at the front, pleats at the back, and yeah, it comes together really easily. Really quite straightforward. Literally one piece for the front, two pieces for the back, and a waistband. So yeah, really quite straightforward. And obviously putting in the zip is probably the most complicated part. For me, this is a skirt that I will wear a lot. I think it's going to be perfect for this time of year, so I can just wear it with, you know, my little trainer pumps like I am today. And I think later in the year, when it gets a little bit colder, I can wear it with maybe some thick grey tights and a nice woolly jumper or something like that. So I'm hoping that this is going to be like an all-round kind of winner for me. I've got a blue version. Actually, I've got it here to show you. This is actually an old one, but you've probably seen me wearing this version quite a few times. But I love that version. So I just thought, yeah, why not make another one? And I decided to edge this one at the bottom inside with a little detail. If I just hold this up, you'll be able to see, hopefully without flashing you. So that is just a little bit of bias binding that I decided to put on the inside of the skirt. That was from a previous So Hailey Jane subscription box that I got, and I've been holding on to that bias binding for ages, and I just thought, why not, let's use it on the inside of the skirt. So that's what I decided to do. Now, I definitely recommend making the grey skirt if you're looking for this kind of project. You can also make it as a dress if you like to. I've made the dress version once, but my preference for the pattern is the skirt. It's just more, I don't know, just fits in with me and kind of my life and wardrobe and all that stuff a little bit more, I suppose, than the dress. The dress I find is quite dressy, if that makes sense. So I wore it to a party a while ago, and I'm sure I'll wear it again, but I've not worn it for ages because I've not had the opportunity to go out in anywhere and kind of dress up. So but it's in my wardrobe for another time. This kind of skirt I do wear quite a lot, so yeah, really pleased with it. I think I said I made it in a straightforward size 10, no changes. I find that fits me quite well. My body measurements are 28 waist and a 40 hip, so yeah, pleased with that. The next project that I wanted to chat to you about today is actually another hack, and this is from the Tilly and the Buttons Make It Simple book. So I absolutely love this book. I've made quite a few bits and pieces from it, and I'm sure I'll continue to do that because I really like it. So I was looking at the Easy Fit dungarees which are in this book. I think some people describe them as the Sophia dungarees as well, because I think the trousers are actually the Sophia trousers, so I guess they are the Sophia dungarees, but they're also called the easy fitting dungarees in this book. So I decided that I really liked the look of the top, and I just thought, do you know what, you can probably hack that into a little top to wear rather than making it as the dungarees. So that's what I decided to do. I have used a double gauze fabric that again I actually got from a So Hailey Jane subscription box. I only had a metre of this fabric because I had the mini box, and this was a while ago. I've been pondering, what can I use the double gauze for? Is it going to work? Will I like it? All this kind of thing. But actually, I really do like it, and it's come together really nicely. I will put in a picture or some video of me wearing the top as well so you can see. But here it is. So I think double gauze has a tendency to look a little bit creasy, but it actually looks really nice when it's on. So, but yeah, here it is. So this is the top. So what I decided to do is even though it still looks quite short, to be honest, I have lengthened it by using the Ogden cami pattern. I knew that I liked that pattern. I knew that I liked the kind of overall fit of it. So I decided to put the two pattern pieces together for the Easy Fit dungarees top and also the Ogden cami, and kind of looked at the lines and just basically extended the Sophia top down so that it was roughly the same length as the Ogden cami. I used exactly the same straps that come in the Make It Simple book, and I would say that it is supposed to probably have a top underneath, so it is quite gapey, like around my underarms and maybe around the front. I found that particularly when I was kind of sat down and driving and that kind of thing, the straps had a tendency to kind of fall down a little bit. So perhaps I should have put the straps a little bit tighter, not sure. But I think for a summer's day when it's nice and warm and you just want a lot of air kind of flowing around your body, this is actually a great top. And I think the double gauze keeps you nice and cool as well. I wore this out to a little walk to New Stabby a while ago, and yeah, I thought it was really nice. I felt quite smart wearing it with my my blue grey skirt, and yeah, it was quite nice. And I do enjoy doing a hack, you know, rather than doing a pattern in the normal kind of straightforward way. Sometimes it's quite fun, and this kind of came to me and I thought, oh, want to have a go with that. I've got that mustard fabric and I just thought, why not? Let's give it a try. And I'm pleased with it. I wouldn't say it's my favourite top because of the kind of gaping issue. I probably could take it in a little bit, but you've got to have enough room to get it on over your head because there's no fastenings or anything. So as I said, it's a good top for a nice warm day, but perhaps not one that I would kind of think, oh, I really want to make that one again. But I did enjoy making it, so that is the main thing, and I'm sure, you know, it will come in quite a lot when the warm weather is, you know, here. The next project that I wanted to chat to you about today is actually some pajamas. So these pajamas were made as part of the Crafty So-and-So PJ party that was happening over on Instagram. I did record a video a while ago kind of showing different fabrics and things that I was considering using. So I have made them, I'm pleased with them. And I actually also used a pattern from the Make It Simple book for the trousers, so I'll talk to you about that in a minute. But let's talk about the top first. So again, I will put in some video footage of me wearing these so that you can see. So this is actually the pajama top, first of all. So I didn't have enough fabric basically, so I had to come up with something that I needed for the kind of central bodice of the pajamas. So I have actually used a old t-shirt that I had lying around that I didn't really wear anymore. It was just one that I had from Primark. So what I decided to do is I cut it up the side seams and I kind of made it into almost a flat piece of fabric. I cut off the sleeves because I didn't need those anymore. I was really careful to not cut away too much fabric because I knew that I needed to, you know, stitch up the side seams again. Basically, I needed enough room to wiggle about, and I don't like pajamas to be too tight, so I needed to keep that in mind. I added on some new sleeves. So the sleeves are actually from the Tilly and the Buttons Cocoa pattern, and then I just added on my own little cuff for to go around the arms there, and I also added on a waistband as well. Waistband, hemband. So yeah, so that's around there. So but yeah, so I'm quite pleased with that overall. I think that the central fabric actually picks out some of the kind of purpley pink tones that are actually in the viscose that I've used for the arms. So the viscose fabric was from a previous So Hayley Jane box as well, which I bought, and again I've had it lying around from probably, I don't know when, last summer or something like that, and I couldn't decide what to use it for. So I think I had 2.5 meters of this fabric, but I found that the trousers ate up loads of fabric, so I didn't quite have enough to do the full top, which was a bit of a shame. But these are the Sapphire trousers from the Make It Simple book. So if you are unfamiliar with the Sapphire trousers, that's what they look like there. So you can see them on the lovely model there. So yeah, so they're a nice kind of wide fitting trouser, slightly cropped on the bottom. They have an elastic waistband at the back and a flat piece at the front of the waistband. So here they are. So again, I'll put in a bit of video footage so that you can see me wearing them. You'll see that they've got the elastic at the back and the flat section at the front. So I decided to size up a little bit in these pajama trousers. Basically, as I said, I don't like to be too like constricted to, I don't like to be wearing things that are tight for bed, and I do really like jersey pajamas, so these are a winner from that point of view. If I was to make the Sapphire trousers again, I probably would size down a little bit because I probably went overboard on the the sizing up for myself, I decided to make these in a size 5, which is actually slightly bigger than my normal body measurements, but I wanted them to sit down on my hip rather than on my actual natural waist. I find that a little bit comfier for bedtime, but they do fit nicely on my hip. So as I said, I've got 28 waist and 40 hip. They are loose, but I did want them to be loose, so that kind of works well. But I think if I was to make them as an actual trouser, perhaps in a woven fabric, or even again as a jersey fabric, I think I would definitely size down to possibly a size 4 or even a size 3. I'm not sure. In Tilly and the Buttons patterns, I do tend to do a 3 on the top, maybe a 4 on the bottom, depending on what it is. But yeah, so I'm pleased with these overall. They did come together quite quickly. I was a little bit concerned about how the back part of the waistband would work, having the elastic in there, but it did actually work better than I thought. You know, the instructions in the Make It Simple book are really straightforward. There's loads of pictures, really good description as always, with Tilly's patterns and whatnot. So and there's loads of inspiration that you can find also on Instagram as well. If you just search Sewing Sophia, hashtag Sewing Sophia on Instagram, you'll find lots of people that have made lots of different versions in lovely fabrics. So yeah, so these worked really, really well. I think the viscose is a viscose jersey is quite nice to wear for summertime as pyjamas, and because they are a little bit oversized, they probably do come a little bit further down my legs than perhaps they're supposed to. I think if they were sat on my waist rather than my hip, then certainly they would be more cropped than they actually are, but that's absolutely fine. I'm happy with them. So yeah. That's pyjamas. It's the first time I've made pyjamas for ages. I've been meaning to make some pyjamas, so actually taking part in the pyjama challenge kind of gave me that kick up the bum I think that I needed to actually sew myself up some pyjamas. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with those. So the final thing that I wanted to talk to you about today is actually a bit of a sewing fail that I've had, but I think it's important to share sewing fails rather than, you know, just talking to you about things that have worked out really well. And this was the Tilly and the Buttons bobby skirt. So I've been wanting to make this for ages, and it's something that I wanted to include in my kind of spring summer capsule wardrobe kind of thing. So now I decided to make this in a size 3 at the waist and then grade out to a size 4 at the hip. So in terms of the body measurements, the size 3, which is the UK size 10, is a waist of 28 and the hip is 39 inches. So the actual finished garment measurements are a waist of 29.5 inches and 43 inches for the hips. So I thought that's going to be absolutely fine, really going to like it, etc, etc. But I don't know what I've done, because I just think it's just not really worked out that great for me. I think if I was to make this project again, I would make the waistband first, actually get that to fit me properly, and then actually fit the rest of the skirt panels to the waistband. I think that would be better for me, just to make sure that my waist was the right proportion in with the skirt panels, because I didn't do it that way round. I decided to actually make the skirt panels first and then try and fit those to the waistband. But I found that the skirt panels, I say panels because you've got a kind of side panel, the front part, and then a back section as well. So I followed all of the seam allowances, etc, that you're supposed to on the pattern, but I found that I needed to take it in quite a lot around that section going up from my kind of high hip towards my waist. So I did that, so I'd managed to get a really good fit on the actual skirt section, but then when it came to actually putting on the waistband, it was just a little bit tight, and I think that was probably because my fabric was a little bit chunky, and I think perhaps it didn't work that great because, I don't know, it was a little bit bulky perhaps. I did try and cut down the seam allowances a little bit if I could do, but yeah, I ended up just taking too much fabric, I think, out of the waistband, which made it a little bit tight, which meant that I put it on the skirt, I had to take it off again, and it was all a bit of a faff. But now I've decided to actually leave off the waistband, and I finished it off with a little bit of bias binding on the inside of the top waist instead. And I think I'm going to unpick the hem and actually put a little bit of bias binding on there as well. So I'm just going to grab it because I've managed to leave it in the house. Here it is. So this is what my skirt's looking like at the moment. So this was supposed to be the waistband at the top here, but I've just added a little bit of bias binding on the inside of there instead, which I think has actually worked out quite well. I'm quite pleased with that. I've only got one jeans button on here at the minute down the front because basically I was just having a bit of a nightmare and I couldn't get them to go on properly, so I'm going to have a go another day. I was just having a bit of a bad day, I think. So yeah, so I've got one on there at the moment, but I am planning on putting jeans buttons all the way down the front instead, so I've actually marked those out, as you can see. Now at the moment I've actually just overlocked the bottom and I've turned it up twice, but I don't know, I think because this is a bit of a stretched denim, it just looks a bit wobbly somehow. So I think it would work really nicely, and I think I would probably like it better if I'd got some more of that bias binding just on the hem instead. So I'm probably going to unpick that and then I'll put on some bias binding there as well. But when I finish this, I will put it on and I'll show you in a future video. But I'm kind of pleased with how it is at the moment, having made those changes. But it's just a bit annoying really with the waistband and it not fitting properly, and I just felt like I wanted to pull my hair out with it a little bit really, which is a real shame because I really love Tillian Buttons patterns normally, and it's probably nothing wrong with the pattern, it was just me and maybe I just did it wrong somehow. If I just hold that together you'll be able to see, but yeah, so that's kind of what it's looking like at the moment. So it's going to be a skirt without a waistband, but I think that's fine. It's going to be just above my knee, I think, is going to be where it kind of finishes. So I bought this lovely fabric from Crafty So-and-so. I describe this as kind of a medium weight stretched denim. I love the kind of colour of it, I think it's quite classic. But yeah, it's just a real shame because I've been wanting to make this skirt for ages. I love this fabric. But it's just one of those things, isn't it? These things happen, and yeah, what can you do? But I just thought I'd share that with you, and I'd love to know how you got on fitting the bobby skirt, if you've made it, if you had any fitting issues, if it all went really well. Yeah, I always like to have other ideas of things that I could do better in the future in terms of actually making a project, or things that I could do differently, etc. But that's all I've got to share with you today. So I hope you've enjoyed watching today's video. If you have, I'd love it if you could press that like button. Leave me any comments below, any questions that you've got. I love to hear from you in the comment section. And I'll be back on the channel again very soon. So thank you for being with me today. I've really enjoyed filming this. So hopefully you've enjoyed watching. I'd love to know what you're making. So do let me know below if you'd like to share that as well. So until next time, I'll leave it there and say see you soon. Bye.